To become a successful trapper, there's a few rules that you need to follow. Rule number one, know and follow all of the regulations regarding fur trapping in the area that you will be trapping. Rule number two, set goals for what you want to accomplish. If you don't know what you're going to try for, it's very hard to actually achieve it. Rule number three, put forth effort into achieving your goals. Rule number four, modify your goals as you need to. So if you set a goal of you want to catch 100 raccoons for the year and you only go out and you're able to trap for 3 days, that's probably not a realistic goal. You need to change that. Maybe you need to change that to 10 raccoons instead. But if you follow my rules that I've listed for you, you will become a successful trapper. Now, before you actually start trapping, there's a couple questions that you need to ask yourself. The first question is, what do you want to do with the animal that you've caught? Do you want to eat the meat? Will you be selling the pelt? Or will you be using it for your own purposes? If you plan on selling the pelt or using it for your own purposes, there may be a special way that you want to put that animal down once it's caught. Or you might just even want to use a trap that actually kills the animal in the capture process. If you're going to be selling the pelt, you need to know how are you going to be selling it and who are you selling it to. So the first step is to find the fur dealer in your area, or are you going to ship it off to an auction house? And secondly, you need to know, are you selling it as a whole carcass so that there's no skinning involved with it? Will you be skinning off the pelt and selling the pelt, but you haven't fleshed it or done anything else to it? Or will you be processing the pelt so it's being skinned from the animal, it's being fleshed, stretched, and dried? Depending upon what you want to do, again, there might be different things that you want to do, not just with the equipment you're using to trap the animal, not just with how you put the animal down, but also on how you care for that pelt once the animal has been taken. Now, if you're going to be selling the pelt from the animal, you need to make sure to try to keep that pelt as clean as possible, and you want to handle it as little as possible as well. So after you have your capture, the first thing to look for in the field is there a way that you can wash off any blood or any mud that is inside the pelt? If you're trapping beside a stream, you can just go ahead and start dunking the animal back and forth into the water, same with the pond, so that you can get that up. If you're not able to take care of your pelt out in the field, and there's a lot of reasons why that just might not be possible, as soon as you get back home, you want to take care of that animal. So you want to, outside generally with a hose, spray it off. Again, you want to remove as much blood and dirt from the pelt as possible. But now you're going to have a soaking wet animal. In order to dry that animal before you even begin to sell it or begin to process it, you really want that fur to be dry. To do that, one of the best ways is to take the animal and take some old newspapers and go ahead and just wrap that animal up in the newspapers. Set it aside for a couple hours so the newspapers can soak all the moisture out of the hide. If you're not able to do that, you can also use a towel. You can wrap it up in a towel, or any other object that's going to go ahead and help remove the moisture from the fur. What you don't want to do is you don't want to be taking a towel and using like a scrubbing motion, actually rubbing back and forth on the fur. You also don't want to be doing that with your bare hand. Both of those can actually damage the fur and lower the value of the animal. To finish the drying process, what you then want to do is take the animal out of the newspapers or towels, try to hang it up so that there's good airflow with it, and then with the regular fan, just turn it on and let it blow a breeze across it. That will allow for evaporation of any water that remains on the pelt. Do not use any type of heat source because, again, you can go ahead and damage the fur with a hair dryer or a heat gun or something along those lines, putting it too close to a fire. You need to let nature take its time in order to maintain a good product. When you're dispatching your animals in the field, the first thing that you must do is follow what your state guidelines are. Some states have very specific laws regarding how this can be done. Other states are not as specific. However, what you want to do is make sure that you put the animal down as fast and as cleanly as possible using the most humane method. A lot of times this will be a gunshot if you are not using lethal controlled measures. Most of us don't have access to the chemicals veterinarians have to euthanize animals, and so a gunshot is generally a very good way to do this. If you are using a gunshot, one of the best ways to do this is to go ahead and try to shoot the animal's brain. Based upon the animal, there's different techniques for that. I will not get into this in this video. The important thing is to understand is you need to follow whatever the laws are in the area that you're trapping regarding how to put the animal down and to do it as quickly and as humanely as possible. Now previously, I talked about how to become a successful trapper and I gave you several rules to follow. Now I'm going to let you into the secret of trapping. If you follow these two secrets, I guarantee that you will have success. The first secret to becoming a successful trapper is you have to have the animal that you're trying to catch in the area where you plan to be trapping. So for instance, if I want to catch a bobcat, I need to make sure that I am trapping in an area that has bobcats. If there are no bobcats present, I'm never going to catch a bobcat. Additionally, if I do have bobcats present, I need to make sure that I'm putting my trap where the bobcats are going to be. So for instance, here in Ohio where I'm located, if I want to catch a raccoon, not only do I need to make sure that I have raccoons in the area I plan to be trapping, but when I'm actually setting my gear out, I'm on the pathways, the feeding areas that the coon are actually using. I'm seeing signs to know that coon are present. If I just walk into the middle of field and if I make a coon set in the middle of the field, my chances for success are very, very small. They're even worse if I don't have raccoon coming to this field whatsoever. So just because I have raccoon in the area does not mean that I have raccoon using my field. The second secret to being a successful trapper is you must put out traps. If you don't put traps out to try to catch the animals, you're never going to catch them. This gets back to the comment I made earlier with setting goals. If you want to catch 100 raccoons, and if you're only going to put out 5 traps, unless you have a very high raccoon population, or unless you plan to trap a long, long time, you probably aren't going to be successful with it. On the flip side of the coin, if you plan to catch 100 raccoons, in your trapping area you believe you have 100 raccoons, and you put out 100 or 200 sets to catch those raccoons, you're probably going to catch your 100 raccoons. So that's really the secrets to trapping, just those two things. You need to make sure that the animals are present in the area that you plan to trap, as well as actually set the traps out for them. Follow these two secrets, as well as the 4 rules for success, and I guarantee you will become a successful trapper.